Alrighty, welcome to Quality Time with BB. Today, I'm going to be discussing Highpoint firearms in this segment. It's a company that's based in Mansfield, Ohio. It was founded February 18th, 1992, and like I said, they're in Mansfield, Ohio. Highpoint, they're notorious. They're cheap firearms. Is basically what they are. Well, they're not really cheap in the sense they're made cheap. They're cheap as in they're affordable. Anyone that has an issue with price, you can pick up a Highpoint. This is actually my wife's, and it was $300. It's a 995 TS, which the TS stands for tactical stock. The original Highpoint 995 had a full stock.
Mm-hmm.
And
it didn't have the suppressor on the end either.
And it didn't have the
bump plate.
It didn't have the recoil pad here on the back like this one does. But the thing with Highpoint, they're not made out of forged steel like most other firearms. And what sets Highpoint aside is they use a blowback system of operation. Because in your regular semi-automatic handguns, mainly semi-automatic rifles, since this is a carbine rifle, when the primer struck, it goes through, and the gases produced by the explosion go through a gas tube, and more or less it's like a piston-driven system. It'll push your bolt back. And recocks the firearm. In these, it's different. The energy released from the primer pulls it back and recocks it, which there's no ammunition in the firearm. There's no ammunition in the firearm, so it's going to stay back. But that's why Highpoints are affordable. They're made of, like I said, aluminum, magnesium, and copper, and it's called Zamac 3, which is what makes them also affordable. Then also, not to mention that the receiver here, it's stamped steel, and the stocks are synthetic. But the reason they look so god awful to the eye is because they're made heavy for the blowback operation system. But that's also what makes them affordable. So they're not notorious for being aesthetically pleasing. But again, they're cheap. This one has, I don't think it's hung up. And also, I need to point out that the ProMag high capacity magazines and non-Highpoint manufacturer magazines, they will work, which this here comes with the warning.
Let's do with the other one.
But it also comes, my wife's going to get it right now, but there's a warning with the magazines, and there's actually a picture, and it said magazine must have proper clearance or frame damage will occur. But here's the warning that comes with it, and this also has a price list of accessories. And it says right here in this big black box, it says use of ProMag high-capacity magazines damages the loading ramp of the model 995 and 995 TS and voids the warranty. So guys, if you pick one of these up, don't use a ProMag. Just use what the factory gives you. I've been to the website, and they have quite a few attachments, stuff that you can get. They have folding grips. They got Weaver side rows you can put on them to add just tactical stuff. The only drawback myself that I have with them is the magazine. It's like a 15 round. It's like a 15 round magazine. Myself, I would rather have. Even the cat agrees with me there. I'd like to have a 30 round magazine, but it's no big deal. It's affordable for the price. It can fire easily. It's comfy. It's all around a good firearm. But on this one, I'm going to discuss. My wife's going to demonstrate, since it's her firearm. She don't want me to touch it. So she's going to be demonstrating how to take it apart and disassemble the firearm, and I will be narrating. So let's get started. Okay. When it comes to cleaning firearms and dealing with them, the most important thing that I cannot stress is safety. Now, this is the same step for just about every firearm. First, you're going to make sure you're going to remove the magazine from the firearm. You see, Jennifer's demonstrating. You've removed the magazine. Now you'll pull you'll check your bolt or check your chamber. Okay, you assume that you make sure the chamber is clear. And once you do that, then you are able to start and do your disassembly of the firearm. Okay, now with Highpoints, they come with a little tool. It looks about like this right here. This here, I don't want to focus in on it that good, but
Don't diss my camera.
But it's like this. There's two little holes on it, and then there's also a little prong at the end of it. But the first thing you'll do is you'll take the bolt handle off the firearm, which that first little notch, you'll put it over. It'll fit right on it. You'll be able to get one if you get one. But give it one quick jerk, and as you can see, as Jennifer is doing, she's taking the bolt off. Next, there's two little clips. One right there is behind the pistol grip. The second one is by the forearm, right there, the foregrip. Okay. If you look on the back, you can see where the bolts are. But the first thing you'll do is the prongs on the end of your little multi-tool will go in the two holes.
You have to push up.
You have to, okay, and you have to push up on them. As you can see, she has the first one, and the bolt is removed. Now you run back to the second. Again, push it up, and you remove the bolt. Okay, the next piece you're going to move, it's right in front of the trigger guard. My wife, she refers to it as a serial number clip. But it goes right over the serial plate. So you'll take it out next. You can do this with that little tool, or after a while, you can slide it out, and it'll do just as good. As you can see, she puts the clip beside the bolts right there in order. Okay. The next thing you're going to take off is the front sight. Now to do this, you have to use a small Allen wrench. I don't know what size it is because I got my tool set from a pawn shop, but it's not one to focus in on it. But as you can see, it's just really thin. It's probably a little bit bigger than a toothpick. So if you have a set of Allen wrenches, just find one that fits it. It'll be one of those small ones though. So you'll take it and you remove your front sight post. There's two screws at the bottom. You'll take your Allen wrench and you loosen those two screws.
I shouldn't have pulled that all the way out.
Make
sure you don't do that.
Yeah, on those we a thing I need to note is we need to be careful. Those screws aren't that big. They're maybe a centimeter or so big, if that. So don't.
Get me pulling out.
No, well, as you can see, if I can get this to focus, this is about the size of it. It's just really small, no bigger than the Allen wrench itself. But, okay, when she gets back in there, we'll...
Okay. Slide off.
Now once you do that, it should just slide off like she just done right there. Okay. Now the next thing you're going to do is there's a little clip right there. It's just above the forearm right there. You take it and you can flip it. You take it and you can flip it out as Jennifer does. As you can see, this set's flipped out. Now you're ready to start taking off the fore end. As you can see, sometimes it can be a little bit stubborn. As you see, you just push it forward and it slides out. And as you can take the fore end off.
I don't know
Now,
what this is.
then you're ready for the next piece, which will be the sight post
You have to pull it up.
and the shroud and the receiver cover, and you have to pull it up. And now you get it off to the side. Now next, ready to remove your barrel and your receiver itself. So you just should be able just to lift those up, and they should, as you can see, she's lifting up. Just comes out of the rifle. Okay, now you have your rifle broke down. Now, next once you get it out.
I'm gonna take this ring off because we'll lose it.
Okay. Now, next now turn your receiver upward where you're looking down at the trigger. Now, on the back, there's a little clip. Now, this, as you can see where her finger's pointing now, you take your tool, place it long ways, and then you push out. Now, it can be a little bit tricky at times, but as you can see, when we first got this, but it was hard as hell to get off. But as you can see, she pushes that clip out. Now, you're ready to remove the little plunger that's in there. You remove that little plunger.
Honey, this comes off. You pull it back.
Oh.
Let's see how you do this. Pull it back and up.
Oh, okay. But
And then everything's gonna fall out.
Okay, but you pull it back like she just did. You pull it back
And inside this, you
and
got
up. And inside your
plunger.
receiver, there should be 2 pins, and there should be 2 springs, and the firing pin. And that there has your receiver disassembled. Now, once you have it stripped with this part, you can also begin the cleaning process. But the last part to get out is there's the spring and the plunger that goes inside the spring. But same concept as a buffer tube. It's more or less the buffer tube of the firearm. And that right there is how you disassemble a Highpoint 9mm carbine. And as you can see, there's all the pieces. It's a simple design. There's everything. You got your stock. Got your stock right here. You got your stamped receiver cover. You got the bottom of the top of your foregrip, your front sight post, your bolts, your barrel, the barrel band.
That's
So,
what it says.
okay. So next we're gonna do how to put it together. Okay. All right, now it's time to put the Highpoint back together. All right. There's 2 little springs that come out with the firing pin. You put those 2. You put the small spring into the big spring, like Jennifer's doing. Then you'll grab your receiver, and then you will shove your firing pin in first in the little hole in the rear. Then you'll take the springs and you will set them in behind the firing pin, like that. Then there's a little black piece that has a pointed end. You will slide that pointy end in the hole that holds them in. Okay. The next step is you will take your plunger, as your spring in your plunger, and you will put it back where you got it, which is underneath the barrel. As you just slide it in, then you push it in. There should be a little a piece built that retains it, which sometimes it can be a little bit difficult. But once you get that situated and in position, you will slide the receiver back onto the barrel, as Jennifer's doing. You'll slide it. As you'll see, you'll take it and you'll put it on top of your trigger assembly. And as you slide it back, the receiver will pull the plunger back, and you will set it down to where it matches up. Then you will take the little black piece that you originally flipped. You will take it and push it back, which it retains that little pin that holds in the firing pin and the springs. Again, sometimes it can be a little difficult to push that back in, but you can do it. As you can see, Jennifer, you can use your tool that is provided with the firearm and do it that way. Okay. Then you'll slide your barrel band back on. Like so. Okay. Next, you'll put the firearm, you'll put the pieces back, you'll put it back into the stock, like so. Okay. Now once that's done, you will then put the receiver cover back onto the firearm. As you can see, there's a little piece in the rear that Jennifer just pointed out. It will slide into the stock, and then it will slide down over. As it slides down, you push it back onto the Highpoint. Okay, next you put on the top fore end. You will slide it back into place. Sometimes, like I said, it can be a little bit difficult to do. Then you'll push the lever down that will lock it into place, as she is doing. Okay, next you'll take your front sight post and put it back onto the barrel. It should meet up with the end, like Jennifer just did. Then you'll take your Allen wrench and you'll tighten your screws. Also, a side note is after you fire it a few times, I would recommend keeping your Allen wrench and tightening those screws. We were out firing and had a mishap with it. The screws were not tightened up enough, and then the sight post just slid out of place. So, you also make sure the screws are tight and secure. So after you fire it a few times after disassembly, keep your Allen wrench with you, which you should always keep some tools at the range, so you can tighten that back up just in case.
I'm afraid I'm going to break his wrench.
Okay, next, you're going to take your receiver clip, or not yours, but your serial clip, and you're going to slide it back to where it was originally, near the trigger guard. Like I said, with these Highpoints, sometimes they can be tricky. When you first get them, it'll be hard to take apart. Trust me, the firearm's not broke or jacked up. It's just where it's new. Okay, next, then we're going to go take the bolts that we originally took out. You're going to slide them back into the firearm. Make sure that they line up with the adjoining holes on the other side. As you can, sometimes you have to wiggle them a little bit and they'll just slide right in. Now once you do that, you'll put the prongs back in the clips, and you will slide them back into place. As then sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to put it back into place. Okay.
It's not in.
As you can see, normally this is something I'd probably try to edit out, but it just really goes to show that when it comes to some of these firearms, some of them can just be stubborn and can sometimes take a couple of tries to get in. But that's part of the game, guys. It's just once this firearm is still relatively new.
I can't get this one to go in there.
But like I said, you have to sometimes dick with it just a little bit to get it going. But now once you do that,
I ain't done yet. Can't get it.
And now once you get the lock back into place, you will take your bolt handle and you will screw it back into the firearm. As you'll take it, you'll make sure it's tight. And that right there concludes, and then you'll put your magazine back in. And there you go, the firearm itself should be complete. The best thing to do is do in the Army, they taught us to do a functions check. You will hold in the trigger, and you will cock the firearm back. And you'll hear like a little click. And once you hear that click, that means you got it right. I don't know if you guys hear the click or not, but I can hear the click. And you can see the firearm's ready. Then you can also cock it. And drop the mag there for a second. Now, ride the bolt forward. And dry fire the firearm. And if it clicks and everything when you fire it, then it's put back together. And it's ready to fire next we go to the range. But alright guys, be safe, be careful, and always remember, when it comes to being at the gun range, safety first. But you guys take care, and we'll see you on the next gun review. So long.